was life really like living in a small German town? If you're interested in finding out, then please keep watching. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, it is so great to have you. I'm Antoinette and I make videos talking about my life as a New Zealander living in Germany. So I live in the beautiful wine region of Lower Franconia with my husband and our 3 children. We live in a small town with a population of around 12,500. I'm not going to name the exact town that we live in for privacy reasons, but I will say that it is gorgeous. It is very picturesque and it looks like something out of a fairy tale maybe, or you could say a Disney movie. Think Beauty and the Beast, Pinocchio. It really has that kind of vibe and I just love it here. This town is a really great fit for my family and I feel very, very happy living here. In saying that, living in a small town in Germany or a small town in general is not for everyone. It definitely depends on your personality, your stage of life you're at. So backtracking a little bit, I am from a medium-sized city in New Zealand and I've also lived for a couple of years in Melbourne, Australia, which has a population of 5.5 million, which is basically the population of New Zealand. So I know what it's like to live in a big city, but I lived in Melbourne when I was in my early 20s. So that was kind of like my party era and just a time in my life where I just loved being amongst the hustle and bustle of the big city and just all of the excitement that comes with it. When my first child was born, we were living in a tiny little 50 square meter apartment with a tiny little balcony in Würzburg, which is a city of around 130,000. Not a super big city, but it does have that big city kind of feel to it. And although I really enjoyed the years I spent in Würzburg before I had kids, when I had my first child, I found it a little bit difficult, our whole living situation. In a small apartment, she soon outgrew the space that we were in and we actually moved to a tiny little village outside of Würzburg and we lived there for quite a few years. And honestly, I have to say, I never felt 100% at home living in the city or in a little village. In the city, for me, and it may have been just our living situation, I know a lot of people live in cities with families and it works really well, but for us, I just felt like everything was always a bit of a hustle and bustle. There were always like long wait times for appointments. And we didn't really get to know our neighbours, everyone kept to themselves. There just wasn't really that community sort of family feel that I was wanting at that stage of my life. And when we moved to this small village, which I actually have made a lot of videos talking about this village, I loved it in a way. I loved how cute and picturesque the little village was. But it was also quite hard to integrate into a very sort of already established community where people had been living there for generations and they were set in their ways, and I just felt like this particular village was not very welcoming to foreigners or just people not from the area. We did meet some very lovely people there, but in general people were a little bit more sort of standoffish, although I really made the most of living there and I've got some beautiful memories of living in this cute little picturesque wine village. I just didn't really feel at home there and I felt like it was very hard to integrate, as I mentioned. So anyway, fast forwarding to right now, if you've been following my story, you'll know that I have been living for the last 3.5 years in this town. My family and I, we built a house here and I just instantly felt so much happier when I moved to this town. It's not far away at all from the village where we lived, but going from a small tight-knit village to a town that was a little bit more, I don't know, I can't even put my finger on it. It was just a little bit more open-minded. Even though it wasn't a big city, I just felt as though I was more welcomed in this town. We're just so lucky that the area we built our house in is very family friendly. There are a lot of other families living in our area, and so it has that sort of I don't know, homely, family-orientated vibe. Most of our neighbours were very, very welcoming when we moved in. We received cards and flowers and little presents even from neighbours just saying like, welcome to the neighbourhood, and we felt really, really accepted and welcome. So definitely something I love about living in this town is that it was really easy for us to get to know the people in our neighbourhood. We even have street festivals. When it's Halloween, our kids get dressed up and trick or treat with the neighbours' kids, and they come back with so much candy, it's unbelievable. When my daughter made her first communion, I was so surprised to receive cards and gifts and even money from people in our neighbourhood, and I just thought this was so sweet. And as I said, it just made me feel part of the community, and I do feel at home living here, and it's the first time I've really felt that since living in Germany. Another thing I love about living in a small city is all of the traditional, regional and seasonal festivals and celebrations. You can learn a lot about German culture through these types of festivals, and it helps you integrate so much better if you get involved in this type of thing. I also just love to support the local businesses and the restaurants and, you know, buy things from these little festivals. It makes me feel more part of the community, getting involved in things like this. Also, living in a smaller town is a great way to practice German, because when I was living in Würzburg, everyone wanted to speak to me in English. I would open my mouth, they would detect a hint of an accent, and they would automatically switch to English. So it was really hard for me to practice my German. So here, people do speak English, but most people prefer to speak German, and that's great for me because I'm able to speak German on a daily basis every single day. I don't speak much English at all when I'm outside the home here, which is great for me because I get to speak English at home with my family and when I'm meeting up with my English-speaking friends. But when I'm outside the home, I feel as though I can really integrate into German culture and, you know, speak German, which for me is a bonus. So something else I love about living in a small German town is the slower pace of life, and I feel as though it's a lot less stressful living in a small town. Some of the reasons for this is the fact that everything is really, really close. We have quite a few different supermarkets. We have an organic supermarket. We have, you know, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, you know, everything that you need. Not that you need a candlestick maker. What I'm trying to say is all of the basics that you need for everyday life are in close proximity. So if you need to go to the doctor, then there's a doctor just down the road. If you need to go to a specialist, we have so many different specialists in this little town. We have sort of like a medical centre, and they have a gynecologist, a paediatrician, an optometrist, a speech therapist, an osteopath, a physiotherapist, orthodontist, dentist, everything within close proximity. There's a library, there's a big drugstore, there are lots of little restaurants, there's basically everything you need for everyday life, and you don't have to travel far at all. Also, a huge bonus is that you don't have to wait very long for appointments, even specialist appointments. When you're in a small town, you can get appointments pretty quickly. If you're in a big city, you could be waiting for months and months to get an appointment. So for me, that is a huge bonus. Also, I was able to get kindergarten spots straight away for my children, and this is not the case everywhere in Germany. It can actually be really difficult to find a kindergarten spot in the big cities in Germany, and so you could be waiting for so long to get your child enrolled in kindergarten. And I was able to get a spot straight away at a really great kindergarten. I was so grateful for that. So overall, I have to say that living in a small German town for me and for my family is a really great fit, and I feel really comfortable and at home living here, and I wouldn't want to live in a big city. I'm not saying that this is a perfect fit for everybody because so many families are thriving in the big cities. I definitely can see the appeal of the big city excitement and the vibrance of life in a big city. I have to say it's important for me to know that if I want to get out of this small town and go to a big city, do some shopping, go to a concert, experience a bit of culture on a different level, then I'm not too far away from a big city. You know, it's going to be easy for me to get there, and that is the case with where I live. Oh, I almost forgot, a huge advantage to living in a small German town, or any small town for that matter, is the fact that real estate is not as expensive. I'm not going to say it's cheap, because real estate all over Germany is very expensive right now, but buying a property in a small town compared to a bigger city, you're going to be saving a lot. Let's just say you're going to get a lot more for your money. So for the price of a little apartment in a big city, you could get a nice plot of land with a garden for your children to play in, and a much bigger house. You're definitely not downgrading your lifestyle. In many ways you're upgrading your lifestyle. It depends how you want to look at it. So basically that's all I have got to say about living in a small German town. Obviously not every German town is created equally. We are very lucky to be living in a gorgeous little picturesque wine region like Lower Franconia, but I would definitely recommend this lifestyle for anybody who is wanting to lower their stress levels, people who are wanting to integrate a little bit better into German culture. But something I've realized over the years is life is what you make it. I feel as though I could be happy pretty much anywhere if I'm with my family, with my husband and my children, and we could make anywhere home. But I definitely think little factors can contribute to your happiness levels overall. Anyway guys, that is all I've got for this video today. I really hope you found this interesting. I really appreciate you watching and subscribing. Speaking of subscribing, I am still trying to make it to 60,000 subscribers. I just can't seem to get there. So if you would consider helping me out and subscribing to my channel, only if you genuinely enjoy my videos, I would be so grateful. Thank you so much for watching guys. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. I would love you to consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Feel free to connect with me on Instagram, and I will see you again really soon. Bye!